We're recording, Kim.
All right. I'd like to call to order the reconvened meeting from July 13th to conduct interviews to fill the council vacancy position in Ward 3. And I think we have our first candidate. We have 2 candidates. We had 3, but we have 2 now. One withdrew their name. So we can start with Jeffrey Johnston. Are you here? Johnstone, probably.
I am here.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. So the way this works, do you go by Jeff or Jeffrey?
Yes, Jeff is fine.
Jeff, okay. All right, Jeff, the way this goes is we have your application that you sent to us and resume. And if you have something that wasn't on there that you wanted to add, you could do that. And then we just go, each council member takes an opportunity to ask you a couple of questions. And that's really about it. Okay. Okay. Did you have anything you needed to add to your application or anything?
I don't believe so. You probably have that application plus the last one we did it before that at the EAC when I was there. So I interviewed for that too. So
right.
I don't think there's anything to add to either one of those at this point.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's start with Ward 7.
Hi there, Mr. Johnstone. Thank you for being with us tonight. I appreciate you being here.
No problem. Thank you.
I have 2 questions. One, I appreciate your extensive experience working with both the senior population and veterans. We do have a nice group of both of those type residents in McCandless. And I'm wondering what you might find might be missing in our town in terms of culture, recreation, and resources for those type of residents in our town.
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know the extent of everything McCandless does, but there's some good ideas to come up with for that community. I do a lot. I have one of my biggest agents up in Erie, and we have a meeting we attend every month called for the Independent Council on Aging. And it's a very good organization where they bring a lot of the nursing home folks and facility folks and anyone who does with the senior community and bring them together to create a better community as a whole, not just on the healthcare side, but any programs, Meals on Wheels, talk about healthcare and anything that a senior would need to be or do. So maybe mirroring some of that. We've tried that here in Pittsburgh, I think, in a couple places downtown, but it just never took off because everybody seemed to want to, go their own way and do their own thing. If there was a way for some the community here in McCandless to do something like that, that'd be fantastic.
Thank you. And also looking at your extensive experience as an athletic coach at the college level, I know how that can take over your life, and I appreciate all of your effort you've given to the young people that you've worked with. Do you see any possibility for other recreation opportunities, and get to the nitty gritty of it? Or would you consider a community center in McCandless?
Another great question. Yeah, I work for CCAC. So for those who don't, well, I guess you guys all have that. Sorry. So whether we go back to school or not, it's another story. They're talking January. But to answer your question, yeah, that's a neat idea. I think that would be something that would be really cool to do. I think you can partner with a lot of the maybe the high schools and even CCAC or La Roche, that are in our area. And for example, one thing that's big and popular for the young folks is these esports and gaming. So I attempted to start a program at CCAC, but we got stonewalled by this virus. So as everything's on hold, we're still working behind the scenes on some things, but that's kind of a neat thing. But again, yeah, athletics is always key. I know as I'm saying this, athletics is good, but then the gaming side is popular. So it's like, which way do these kids go? I have 3 adult boys over 20 and they're gamers, and I'm trying to get them out of the house myself and things like that. So it's always a struggle. But I think anything like that to bring the community together and give them another place to go to, even indoor, but also outdoor facility as well too. I think when we're talking about on the EAC, I like the wall park idea and expanding that. I watched a lot of the videos that you folks put together, for that trail and the sustainability and things like that. Very interesting, really kind of cool in my eyes or perspective to that even like a trail, I've been on in other states and campgrounds where you actually have a fitness trail or even a Frisbee golf. They just call it disc golf, but something like that is really neat. I know a couple communities, Cranberry comes to mind, has one of those parks. I think it's up in Blueberry Hill and things of that nature. So that would be my ideas on a couple things. I'm sure I could come up with a few more as we go forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sure.
Carolyn?
Hi. So you have a bunch of great ideas, but I was curious to see if there was anything that you think we could improve on here in the town. Does anything stand out to you that we could work on?
Well, I'm sure all you do a great job, right? That's what I have to say. But no, I'm sure you all do anyway. Just kidding aside. Yeah, I don't know all the details of what everyone does, and I'm sure as you need to do a review, we all have to look at ourselves. And I give myself for example. I mean, when I do the Team Pittsburgh and I'm the president, the first thing I communicate to all my board members and my people, whether they're coaches or referees or just employees working a concession stand, is, lead by example, but also lead from the front. And that's, I think, one of the biggest mottos. So I'm sure you folks are all doing that as it is now in the different wards. And I really, I apologize. I don't know exactly everyone's details on what they do. I know you have a lot on your plate from, looking at the budget and looking at all the committees, and everybody's on all those. So I'm sure there's always something that can be improved on. And I think that's why we have committees. That's why you have a board representative on the council. So they have 7 people plus managers and whatnot to get together and kind of evaluate, ourselves and things like that. So that's kind of where I would do if I had to do it, to look at it. That's what I would do.
Okay, I just didn't know as a town resident if there's anything that stood out, currently.
No, I love it here. I mean, we love it here in McCandless. I mean, we have we're in Ward 3-3. We're right on Olive Street, so it's the loop. You're either one across the street, you're on one ward, or one division across the street, you're on the other. So the only issues we've had here were some of the water issues from a few years ago with the flooding and whatnot. But I think most of that's been fixed down on Sloop. Haven't had any major occurrences or anything that recently. The only other thing, like I brought up on the EAC before, was, and I know they had a survey, was the deer. We have a lot of deer that'll hop our fence and get in our yard, and whether that's good or bad, I don't know. I don't know if there's been an issue with ticks and Lyme and all that fun stuff that come with a deer, but we need to maybe address in certain areas where there are a big deer population that you don't feed them, stay away from them, try to keep them away from your yard. Unfortunately, you see a lot of them that do get hit, so that's the sad part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, definitely deter them as much as possible. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Angela?
Hi, Mr. Johnston. Thanks for interviewing with us. It's nice to see you again.
Hi, nice to see you too. Thank you.
I feel like I got to know you pretty well when you were doing the EAC interview, so I don't have too many questions. Just quickly, you're kind of stepping into a role that we all had a lot of time to step into, door knocking and getting to know what the needs of the residents were. And I was wondering if you had any plan to solicit feedback or kind of get the feel for what your community members need.
Absolutely. That's a funny question. I mean, only for the fact that I was just driving down through the neighborhood the other day, and I said, boy, if I ever got something like that, I was looking at all the neighborhoods that I don't realize that were there when you look at the map. And I mean, that would be something that actually, to me, I would find as a challenge to try to hit every resident in your ward. I know that probably would be difficult, but it would be very interesting. And I was actually looking at the map again yesterday and today to see, where the territory hypothetically would be. But definitely would want to do something like that, because even part of my notes to myself, is communication, obviously amongst the council and the township itself as the leaders, but then how and when and where, and do you communicate it to your residents? And to me, that as a resident myself, I think of how the township communicates. I think they do a good job, or as best they can, to do that, with the websites and the crier and things of that nature. So yeah, I would definitely want to continue that, expand on that, and canvas and everything above if possible, for sure.
Okay, and one final question.
Sure.
Do you have anything, I didn't notice anything that stuck out to me in your resume or your application, but is there anything that you see could be a potential conflict of interest for you serving on town council?
Conflict of interest? Not really. I am the president of a hockey organization, so as long as that's not an issue, then I don't think there would be anything else. I think there's a lot of good things that could do with my experience on the insurance, healthcare side, senior side, stuff like that. I think is more of a benefit than a detriment.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnston.
Thank you.
Dave.
Hi, Mr. Johnstone. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I guess this would be my first official words as as a council member. So thank you for coming and interviewing and putting yourself out there. So for me, my biggest question really centers around, you've started a couple companies and you have the involvement leading the deck hockey. What are some of the lessons and skills that you've taken from that that you'd like to bring over to town council and in your role if you were a council member?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. The leadership is the first one. Like I said, communication is huge. I think I even mentioned that. But again, we're responsible too for, administering policies, kind of enforcing them. The hockey stuff, there's not a whole bunch of sustainability, but I think that's huge. I know in the EAC I mentioned about, being green and learning more, being more part of that. I think that's huge importance. Now with our pandemic, unfortunately, we've had to learn a lot of things. We've had to go through so much just to even play hockey. So learning how to, find out what we need to do, follow all the rules, all the guidelines. It's been a struggle. It's been a challenge, but we've gotten through it. And I think that's where the leadership really comes into play as well too. But when we, teach the kids, it's, just have fun, compete. It's not all about winning. We don't give out participation trophies. We do, give out prizes for the winners and things like that, but we want everybody to have fun. It's not always about winning, and we instill that in our coaches, to instill that in our kids. We have 400 families that play in our organization, so there's a lot of people. And plus we do a travel program as well too. And fortunate enough for me, I'm not involved with that. I'm just involved with the business day to day on running the program down at the Brighton Heights area. But those are the main things. And again, and above all else, I think for the kids too, just be humble as well.
Thank you. That's all I had. I'm going to let other members ask their questions.
Thanks.
Shelley?
Hi, Jeff. Nice to see you again.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for applying.
No problem.
So I have one question left that I wasn't already asked. So
okay.
My question is, should you become a town council member, what would be your priorities or your special areas of interest based on both your experience as a resident and your extensive experience in the insurance industry?
Okay, as a resident, and I think, again, I apologize for keep going back to the same thing, but the wall park with the EAC and the green spacing for me were top of the list for the township. Huge interest in that. I think that's something that's very important, which then turns into the sustainability, which we all know is, not just about the environment. It's a key point, but it's about the economics of our township. And then, the social aspect as well. What draws people to stay here, what draws people to move here, things of that nature. And then as far as my businesses and things like that, it's all insurance based. So, obviously I'm sure that we have a lot of employees in McCandless. They all have health insurance benefits, things like that. If I can help in that aspect of, on the risk management side of looking into the healthcare or anything else like that comes into play, I'm more than happy and more ecstatic to do that because that's been a big part of my life, my career, and what I've done. And I think I have a pretty good mindset of what we need to watch out for.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Jeff, I'd like to also thank you very much for applying and taking the time to be with us, and good luck to you this evening. I think we're planning on voting later tonight, so thank you.
Okay. Well, it's, we're all gonna become like friends one way or the other if we have to keep doing this all the time every month, right?
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Jeff.
All right, thank you guys.
Is Michael?
He's on. We're unmuting him and turning the video on now.
Michael, are you there?
I am.
Are you able to turn?
Here it goes. It's just click there.
Hello. There we go.
There you are. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome. Say your last name for us so we can do it right.
Tarl. T-A-R. Just like the E is silent. Tarl.
Okay. All right. All right. Sounds good. All right. Welcome. All right. And you go by Mike too, I see written
Mike,
there. Okay. All right. So I'll stop calling you Michael. Okay. All right. So Mike, the way this works, I tell everyone the same, just so everyone knows, is that we have your application and your resume that you sent us, which we have all looked at. If there's something that you would like to add that isn't on there, something in addition, you can certainly do that now. Otherwise, each council member will go around and ask what questions that they have of you.
Okay. No, you have all the info in front of you, so yeah,
Okay.
I don't think there's anything I want to add.
Okay. All right. Terrific. Trish, will you start us off, please?
Thank you. Thanks, Mike, for joining us tonight. I do have one question. It seems you have extensive experience in development of real estate throughout the area, the greater Pittsburgh area. And one of my questions is, have you seen some really good examples of smart redevelopment in communities that look like to make the town of McCandless? Things that might encourage more small business, more culture, and more community engagement. Do you have any ideas for that in our town?
Oh boy. I think if you look at some of the areas that have transformed in Pittsburgh, the South Side and Lawrenceville, they're a little bit different communities than we have here. But those started with, artists and others moving in, and then one or two blockbuster developments. As for McCandless, we do a pretty good job. I've been in front of the zoning hearing board over my career and the planning commission for projects at the Capuchin Friars, at La Roche University, and at Passivant. And Bruce, I know he's retired, but he was very accommodating, welcoming, held firm on what was required, but also helped you through the process. The town was a partner in that place, and that's probably, one of the ways to bring good development to our community.
Great, thank you very much.
Any more questions, Trish?
No, that's all, thank you.
Okay, all right, Carolyn?
Michael, so do you have any new ideas or any suggestions for improvement for the town?
Communication. I know everyone in their business, is like, oh, we need to communicate better, but there's websites and there's magazines and stuff, but there appears to be some social media out there that's not run by the town that has a pretty strong voice. So the town probably needs to improve their voice on social media and other platforms like that. Improvements, the Business 19 corridor, where some of the businesses go to die. How do we sort of develop that into something much more vibrant, like it's on McKnight Road, but with less, not the same traffic. just visual parts of the community. You know, there's still car repair shops that I drive by that, you know, could do better on their, you know, site fencing and landscaping and site lighting and such. So those are just some ideas I might have.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Angela?
Hi, Mr. Charles. Thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate you stepping up to interview for this position. Buried at the bottom of your resume, I see that you're a board member for the Hill District Community Development Corporation. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. It drew me because of, one, I think it's the next area that's going to develop in town. It is so close to downtown Pittsburgh with the Penguins developing their site. It's just naturally people are going to want to move there. So I've always been fascinated by why some communities in Pittsburgh that have seen a better day have transformed, like I said before, the South Side, Lawrenceville, Braddock, maybe to a lesser extent. And why have they done that? So over my career, I've done probably 6 or 8 projects in the Hill District. Got to know Marimba, who's their executive director, was on a community a board with her at Leadership Pittsburgh. So that's sort of what drew me to it, is how do you make this community that's seen a better day and it's down on its luck, you know, be vibrant again. And there's little parts of it that are getting off the ground and then sputtering, whether it's a grocery store there or apartments, and you know, who knows when the Penguin development is going to start. But yeah, it's something I enjoy, bringing my sort of development, architecture, and construction experience to them to help them with that.
Okay. And you mentioned the importance of communicating with residents. So on an individual, there's a, you know, of course, the town has means to communicate with residents, and then individually as council members, we have some responsibility to communicate with the residents in our board as well, and get their feedback and kind of know what their thoughts are. I was wondering if you had any plan to connect with the residents in Ward 3.
It'd probably be just more natural at first than forced. Some of you might know my wife. She's very involved in our community, whether it's with the North Allegheny Orchestra or the North Allegheny Foundation. So I think it's just that, and just getting the word out that, you know, if you do select me, that's my new role, and just when I walk around the neighborhood, let people know.
And my last question was whether you have any conflicts of interest that you think might affect your tenure on town council.
Maybe. So I'm in the construction business. I have done 2 projects at LaRoche University. I currently do not have any contracts with them now. Those 2 were fulfilled. I do work with UPMC Health System. I build for them. I've not built at Passivant. I do work for Allegheny Health Network. I have not built any of the McCandless facilities. So I don't see that is, but certainly if one of those, if I had an active contract with one of them and a matter came up in front of the board, I would sort of, you know, not vote and recuse myself on the matter. So yeah, do you see any issues with those? I don't know what others have.
No, I think that's the appropriate way to handle it, is to, at that time, you would abstain from the discussion and, or pardon me, recuse yourself from the discussion and abstain from voting.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Thank you for your time, Mr. Shaw.
Okay, Dave?
Mr. Charles, thank you for interviewing with us and putting yourself out there. So my question to you is, you know, it looks like you've done quite a bit of business through you know, your construction businesses with various towns and with the town of Candless. Is there anything from those dealings, just from, you know, maybe from permitting or whatever else you may have had to do, that you've taken away that you'd maybe like to see the town do better as opposed to other towns, you know, things that you've seen, things to make things easier for business to work with? Are there things that you've seen or ideas you have on that?
I think McCandless does a pretty good job. Sometimes some communities, and everyone's stuck on the preliminary and final approval with your zoning or your zoning hearing board or your planning commission, and then to the board. So some communities will work with you to do the preliminary and final approval in one vote. So that may sound like a little thing, but if you can take a development process and move it from 4 months to 2, that obviously would help and spur development in our community. You know, the taxes would get to us sooner, and we would just be known as a better place to do business and development. Hopefully, you know, others would want to do that there. So it's more speed. The other thing, it's not best case, but I've seen others is, you know, some towns have little pet projects, like their building code official, you know, wants, you know, exit signs, you know, at a 2-foot height instead of higher, that certain towns want, you know, sprinklers where maybe the building code doesn't have. So that would be one that's, you know, sort of best case is, you know, don't have too many pet projects and add-ons. Obviously the zoning, you know, code is what it is and people need to follow that. But just to sort of make it a more streamlined process, I guess those are the 2 examples.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to pass it along so other members can ask their question. But again, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, David.
Shelley?
Mike, how are you?
Good, Shelley.
Thank you for applying. You have a very impressive resume. Your background has some similarities to mine, so I think I understand what you do. So here's a couple of questions. Some of them have been asked already, but I'll try to pick my newer ones. So with your great experience, your long-term residency, how come it took you so long to apply for a position within the town, either on the committee or now on town council?
Yeah, my wife is focused locally on our community, and I've focused regionally, you know, with my involvement with Leadership Pittsburgh, with my involvement in communities and schools, and with my involvement in the Hill District. So, you know, it's how we chose to serve. In addition to that, you know, through the business, I probably support 20 to 24 other charities and nonprofits where you're going to golf outings and black tie events and different things like that. So, you know, when this came available, you know, my parents both served as township commissioners in Elizabeth Township. My dad probably for 10 years, my mom probably for 20. So this was sort of the time that was sort of like, oh, this might be, you know, a nice fit right now. So
good fit for this time. Okay. Have you had a chance to look at our comprehensive plan?
I have not, no.
Okay. And I will, well, even if you haven't, the question is still valid. So the comprehensive plan puts forward a kind of a vision, a roadmap for the potential future of McCandless. So with that concept in mind, are there any things that come to your mind that you think should be prioritized in McCandless? Now, some of the things, just to give you ideas, I mean, obviously community center is one of those things that gets talked about. There's other issues that face the town. Anything that comes to your mind right off the bat that you'd like to pursue or be an advocate for?
Just responsible development. That could be, you know, building in, you know, innovative and green, you know, water retention facilities. It could be different pavings. It could be reducing parking to, you know, the minimum amount. Make sure you have a lot of landscaping there. You know, we don't want parking lots to look like Ross Park Mall. So yeah, but probably the responsible, sustainable development would be one that I would get behind.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Mike, thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank you guys.
Interviewing and coming forward. And like I said, we're planning to vote on this later today. So there's not a lot of time that you have to wait. It's kind of nice.
Okay.
So
thank you guys.
Have a good evening.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn this reconvened meeting?
So moved.
Okay. Okay. All right. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned.